just wanted to give you an introductory view of the Clwydian Hills. That's the way we always come out to them, over the Hulkins. I enjoy this view every morning. Nice light on the mountain or hills that we're heading towards. Welcome to another episode of Nature with Nick. Somewhere up here. Oh, god damn it, I've lost it. There was a kestrel hovering, I promise. It was cool. It's just not there anymore. Maybe, yeah, there it is. Kestrel hovering. Very exciting. Probably seen a mouse or... Hello! This is the top of Moel Arthur. I've come up the easy way today, not because we're slacking, but because Moel Arthur, 1, isn't our target hill, and 2, the easy way is the way out to the hill we're trying to get to. So I'm hoping you can see me point at those wind farms on top of that moor. That, I think, is called Hiraethog Moor. It is on top of, well, just outside of the town of Denbigh, which is the county town of Denbighshire, where we are today. And the road up to it, to a lake called Llynbrennig, is called the Road to Hell. I'll let you know more when we're a little bit closer. Maybe I've included too much of this footage, but this is Denbigh High Street. Denbigh's a nice town, not exciting, but what I always find funny is just how bloody steep the high street is. It is excessive, quite annoying. You're trying to save energy for the mountain to come, and yeah, got to grind just to get through the town. Very annoying. Yeah, good idea. Is that the old asylum?
It looks like something Victorian, like an asylum.
I think it is. I think it's the Denbigh Madhouse. I don't know if you can see this behind me. Big old Victorian building. I know it's awkward with this fence and all this. I'm just outside the beautiful town of Denbigh. Denbigh's genuinely really pretty little town. It's not massive, so I don't know why you'd ever visit, but if you do, it's great. Me and my dad were just saying, we rode like this glacial floodplain to get here. It was pan flat, and then suddenly Denbigh High Street is like 20%. Very Welsh. Now, the climb I'm going to do today is called the Road to Hell. I suspect it might be related to this building behind me, which is the old psychiatric hospital here in Denbigh. It's locally known as Denbigh Madhouse, which I guess is not PC at all. It's supposedly haunted, it's abandoned, people go and like urban explore in it. But anyway, Road to Hell. It's the longest climb I know around here. My PB up it is 28 minutes. It is, I don't know, I'm not even going to make up statistics, I'll tell you later because I haven't done my homework, but it's long. And it's not that steep, but it gets really steep in parts, which makes it quite interesting. There's a parallel climb on the main road called the Sportsman's, named after the pub at the top of it, the Sportsman's Arms. And the Sportsman's is just a steady 4% for about 9 miles, which is cool. This is very different. We'll ride it and see. I might edit some of this out, even though I try and keep my climb videos complete, because it's going to be longer than 28 minutes today. I'm not feeling great, and that is long and boring. Let's see what it's like. So the lead in to the climb here is a clip I may have shown some of you. I made it a short video on YouTube because I'm about to mess up in a spectacular fashion. Well, I fucked that. So yeah, I don't know why. I decided I wanted to carry momentum into the climb, which, you know, a 25 to 30 minute climb doesn't really matter if I've carried momentum into it, does it? But I was in big ring, big gear,
trying to turn the pedals and take that corner as fast as possible, and halfway through it I decided to change down a gear so I could keep pedaling, except obviously I'm leaning so far that you can't keep pedaling, you have to sit upright, so fully messed that up. Here it is again from a different angle. Let's see Nick not understanding basic cornering on the bike. Yeah, completely messed that up. Let's not dwell on that. It's a nice start to this climb, actually, this little chicane. I won't call it switchbacks, because they're really quite wide. They're not a proper switchback. But it's a nice little double bend, and it sort of signposts that the climb started, because this climb, it's a bit funny. A lot of it is like 1 or 2%. You could almost believe that you're not climbing, so having a well-defined start is quite pleasant. And then somewhere around here, I tell myself off for going too hard. You know, putting down 400 watts now is silly. So my tactic for today is to try push hard on the pitches and just keep the chain tight everywhere else. See if I can balance that sound properly. But there, I've just said my tactic is to keep my chain tight on flats and on anything below kind of 5%, and on the pitches to go hard. So generally speaking, yeah, I was just aiming for around 300 watts. That's conservative. That's so that I know that I can do the 400, 450 even on the short, steep parts. So here it really doesn't look like a climb, and this is kind of how it starts. And then around this bend, there'll be a bit of maybe even descent and then climb. And that's pretty much what the entire thing looks like. That's why I've chosen to cut a lot of this out, because you can see these sections, and this is what it's like. This is what it's like for the next 20-25 minutes. It's hard mentally to kind of keep engaged, I think, to keep yourself focused on executing a plan, even when you're going slightly downhill or you're going on 0%. Remember that that's all part of a hill climb, and that it's all sort of time that I need to be thinking about my power. And even if I'm going gently, if I'm doing 250 watts on this climb, I still want to be consciously doing that rather than not thinking about it. Yeah, it's got to be a choice that I'm doing it to recover, as opposed to I'm just pootling along, because just pootling along is the way that I'm going to completely ruin this climb. Just do it very slowly. So the landscape starts to open up a bit around here. Unfortunately, the high hedges mean that my handlebar mounted camera can't really see anything, but my head is obviously a little bit higher, and you can see a lot more of this valley as it opens up. Here comes my dad in shot there. He set off a little bit before me, just as I was faffing at the beginning. I had to make a conscious effort to not chase him, to just stick to the plan, going relatively conservative. I say I've made a conscious effort to not chase him. Doing 350 plus there is pretty foolish. So yeah, clearly I've not stuck to the plan that well. Incidentally, my dad had never ridden this road before, which is a bit weird. Man must have done hundreds of thousands of miles around North Wales over the last 15 years. That was tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
I want to defend myself a little with the stuff I say to my dad when we're riding. He said he doesn't mind it at all, and sometimes these videos make me sound like a massive knob, like I'm being horrible to him, but...
Yeah.
That was just a little joke, because I normally turn around if I get to the top before him, and then I say something encouraging like, not far to go, it's only a couple of 100 meters, let's push. So saying not far to go, only another 10k was a joke, guys. Don't Don't hate on me. Don't tell me that I'm a bully or I'm arrogant. It was a bit of fun. So as you can see, although I've said, you know, it is a shallow climb overall, 3.3% average, there's loads and loads of bits like this that are 10, 15%, and then you're over a little lip and it levels off again, and it keeps going. So here's the next one, and I think this is the biggest steep section of the entire climb. I knew this was coming. It comes kind of 2 and a bit kilometers in, and it's a relatively long section of over 10%. And I'm impressed actually how much it looks like I've come to an absolute crawl here. I was pacing myself. I knew it was going to be tough, and I didn't want to really overstretch. But wow, yeah, 8 kilometers an hour. Yeah, that is slow. I probably should have invested a little more power here, if I'm honest, because you'll see in a minute there's probably another 400 meters like this, and then it's properly downhill for a while, so you get absolute recovery. I probably should have kept myself at 400 plus watts all the way up here and really made a focused effort to get over it. There's hopefully quite a nice view of the landscape as it unfolds behind me. That's the Clwydian Hills where I filmed from at the beginning, and a view over what's called the Vale of Clwyd. There's this flat land between the Clwydian Hills and the Denby Moors or Mynydd Hiraethog, and it's really flat, the Vale of Clwyd. It makes for quite a nice juxtaposition. I like the word juxtaposition. I'm not sure I'm using it correctly there, but yeah, quite fun. So this is a tangent, but back in 2017, I cycled over this road, and I tell some stories like this. This is back when I was riding my bike once every 3 months or something, and I had this thing of, I could ride my bike to Rhiannon's next time we go to see her mum. Rhiannon can drive there, and I'll ride my bike. It's only 80 miles as a straight line. But I was heavy. I was about 75 kilos. I'm well out of shape, and I'd never cycled this road before. And coming up here, I was absolutely dying. I'd already bonked. I took 3 Nature Valley bars and nothing else with me. It was miserable. Really, you know, how not to do a bike ride, every sense of the word. But a Royal Mail van came over the crest as I was like, I must have looked like death. And the man wound down his window and he went, "Mate, why would you come this way?" And then he just drove off, which yeah, it was very funny. It was, I wonder if he wasn't there at all, I just started hallucinating, and that was my own subconscious saying, "Nick, what are you doing?" Anyway, back on about the climb. You can see that I've come to a crest here, and this is a genuine crest, and then falls flat for a little while. Hear me telling myself to keep my chain tight. I know that I've invested the power I need, and I've just got to, well, maybe I should have invested a bit more power to get up to speed. But here's another rear view of that really steep section that should should give you a bit of perspective on how much I've climbed so far. Although we're only 3k in by the top of this crest, I've done 3/4 of the elevation of this climb, so it becomes patience now. It's just like a battle of attrition, I guess, against myself. So here's the end of the descent. I've cut out a lot of the descent there because it's kind of boring, and it's, you know, descent on a climb. It's a bit weird. I did wonder whether I should kind of apologise for the fact that this is a climb that's not continuous. It goes uphill, but then you descend and there's flats in it. And then I thought, actually, loads of mountains do that. And if we're going to go into Zwift, you know, Epic KOM does that repeatedly. you'd still consider it one climb, wouldn't you? You wouldn't break it up and say, well, that's not one climb. I'm just not used to it around here, because stuff's not that long, so it's very, very rare to have a proper climb with a proper descent within it. And this is now like the second segment in my mind of this climb. I break it up into 3 parts, really. And we're kind of on farm or agricultural high land. We continue going uphill, but it's much more bobbling. It's uphill, downhill, you're going through these farmy roads. It's a nice view behind me, but it didn't come out brilliantly on the rear camera, so I've not put too much of that footage in. I didn't want to bore you completely. But in its own way, it's unrelenting, in that the downhills feel very, very short, and the uphills, as you'd expect on a climb, are quite long and, you know, not shallow, consistently 10 to 15%. And when broken up by false flat, it's hard to decide whether you should be getting rest or whether you want to flat pace this. For the record, I really wouldn't ever recommend flat pacing it. I think that's a guaranteed way to making it really hard and quite slow. But I would consider doing more power in between the climbs than I have. Now, the 2 lads who are top on the Strava leaderboard, 1 and 2, I suspect they rode this together, and I suspect in between the really steep pitches, they'll have done through and off, sort of, or, you know, 2 up TT, do a bit of time, sit in the wheels to recover, rinse and repeat, because they're head and shoulders above everyone else. And they did it on the same day together. So you can see that it's not, you know, it's not always the same. It's not like a never-ending road that always has identical scenery. But this is where I really started to sort of struggle with a mental battle, because I'm beyond halfway, but there's lots and lots of false flat, but you just start getting glimpses of the top, which is sort of the forest ahead to the right a little bit, and it looks like it's miles away. Probably is several miles away still, and that's quite tough in a way, being able to see how much you've got left to do. And I'm getting to the point now that every time I go deep for one of these hills, for one of these like kickers, I feel like there's less reserve to draw on. I'm sure there is less reserve to draw on. I'm sure that's actually true. So you can see that at the top here, it's still 5%, and yet I've dropped down to 200-ish watts. I shouldn't be doing that. I should be able to punch on the 10% and then sit at threshold, punch for the next bit, and have confidence that it's about to be flat again, so it doesn't matter. I should be going deeper, but I just don't really have it. It was here that I started to notice the headwind. Beforehand, you're so sheltered that it doesn't really matter, but inherently, because of the direction we're going, approximately west, it's always a prevailing westerly wind around this part of the UK. So yeah, not a surprise at all that I had a headwind. This brown sign here is just directing you to Llynbrennig Visitors Centre, and at the top of this road is a beautiful lake. You can see that there's like a gravel trail to my left. That is a cycle path, so the place we're going to is kind of a hub for families who want to ride bikes. It's got a lovely set of off-road trails, which I'll show you a little bit more of later. Up to the left, you can see the end of the climb. Oh, here we go, some rear view footage of what I've achieved. Those Clwydian hills look a long way off now, because they are, and it feels like we're a lot higher up. And again, because we are, you know, you do get the reward of seeing how much you've climbed on this hill. And here I am on the very final push to the end of the road to hell. it's a proper sting in the tail. It's properly like 500 meters really steep, and you've got this choice now of whether you've burnt all your matches in advance, is it just about survival, or whether you've kept something back in order to push hard on this steep final section, which is longer than I think. Last time I knew there was a little kick at the end, so I went really deep. I'm talking like 400, 450 watts here, and then I realised, you know, it's 500 meters. It's a good duration. It's not the sort of thing that I can go anaerobic for. So I went anaerobic and I blew up. So I'm trying not to do that, but yeah, in the 200s it's probably a bit too easy, Nick. Sort it out. Go a bit harder. Last time I was here also, it was much earlier. I came like in the height of summer when I was getting out at 5 AM to beat the heat, so I was here by 8:30 I think. And there's a farmer who has a flock of sheep that graze on the right, and he needed to move them from one field to another, so we had to use the road. He was well sound. We had a chat as I cycled past, but his 2 sheepdogs like herding an entire flock of sheep up this road was a bit surreal to witness first thing in the morning. It was cool. PR finished. I hate seeing PR finished. It's so disheartening. But yeah, PR finished here. And as you can see, I am not finished. I've still got some time left to go. If you're worried about my road position in these videos, please don't be. One, I can see and hear for miles. And 2, it's never for very long. Yeah, I just use all of the road whilst it's available to me. And as you know, I'll tell you when I've done it wrong. I'm quite happy with how I did position myself for this entire climb. So there's the top. It's rather unceremonious, if I'm honest, because for the last 2k I've been able to see this colossal, beautiful lake to my left, and there's just no way of getting that on the camera. It's expansive and it's lovely. I'll have a little bit of footage of it at the end of the video for you, just so you get to see what I got to see, but yeah, it's a bit anticlimactic. Nice to turn around and see those wind turbines all over the moor that have been sort of iconic for the entire climb as I climb up into them, and even from Moyle Arthur, which you can see ahead of me, by the way. Those Clwydian hills on the very horizon, there's this little V-shaped dip in them, and that's where I was stood. It's right ahead of me. You can actually see the Clwyd Hills, and that sort of V-shaped gap at the top of them. It's Moyle Arthur. Boring that I've just repeated myself, what I've just said on the camera, but yeah. Here's the rear view footage one more time, just so you can see the whole expansive vista behind me. I should say, the rest of this ride was really pretty as well. Going down to Llynbrennig and around and back through what's called Clocainog Forest was really nice. There's some beautiful, absolutely silent roads, you know, don't see a car in sight. Check this out, Nick got a bit bold. What I've not told you there is I unclipped both my pedals before I went down that drop-in because I was shitting myself. Gravelling away. Don't know how well you can see behind me the lovely lake Llynbrennig. Yeah, that was a hard climb. I was within the time I wanted to be, but I was down on my PR. Not as badly as I thought. I'm a bit annoyed that I didn't just dig in, to be honest. But yeah, hard climb. Time for a coffee. I really liked this little section. Can you see my dad riding the road there as I ride the gravel path next to it? I just thought it was fun. It was nice to sort of ride alongside and film my dad as he finished his effort on the road to hell. I know, well, it's a boring joke, but I don't know why it's called the Road to Hell. It's a really beautiful climb. And this is just the road to the visitor centre, to the cafe. That's Llynbrennig on the right. That's just a big lake. It's got cycle paths all around it. You can sail on it. You can hire kayaks and stuff. It's got a big fishing community. It's really nice. Oh, it's also got ospreys. It's got an osprey like sanctuary, so you can watch ospreys. Hello everyone. If you've made it this far, thank you. I know it's an especially long and not especially interesting climb video, but I didn't want to cut too much out. In my head, these climb videos were always going to be showing the whole climb, but it just would have been too much. But I wanted to include enough that you really get a feel for what that climb, the Road to Hell, is like. It's more engaging than that video makes it seem. It's a nice climb, but it's hard to keep focus on a bit of a undulating road. It's a hard ride anyway. The average weighted power around 230 is fairly powerful for me. Max speed was a good one, 50 miles an hour, not bad at all. So the climb itself is this long road out of Denbigh. So 11.16 kilometres, but only 3.5% average. It's really, it's really gradual. See that elevation profile, as you saw in the video, you know, it's quite steep early doors and it goes on a long time. I've probably said this in the voiceover, but I suspect if it's not called the Road to Hell because of the psychiatric hospital at the bottom, it might be called the Road to Hell because of this, like, 25% section of road there. What I wanted to show you was a comparison to myself last time. So, sorry, I should have done the overall leaderboard. Okay, Giles isn't top. If you stalk these rides, I suspect Giles probably let his mate Tom win. They're friends, I guess. They ride together. There's me in 18th with my 28.31 and my 29.45 would have taken me in at 38th, so nothing remarkable. If you look at how I did, I was actually up on myself for the first 3k, and then I'm not surprised I start to lose to myself a little bit on that really steep corner. I just had a bit more power at my disposal back then, but then I keep it relatively steady for some time, and if you look on the map around this point, this is where it becomes really open moorland, and this is where I really start to suffer from the headwind, and it just it just grinds me down, doesn't it? You can see the difference there. It's really significant. My PB was 10 watts lower than that ride, so I'm really happy with that, actually, to be able to put out 10 more watts. I think I am about the same weight. I think that's the headwind showing you. I don't think I'm chunkier. I might be, but I don't think I am. I'm still around 67 kilos, same as ever. Really, I'm feeling pretty good about my weight. So I think that's just the headwind talking. So I'm really happy with that result, actually. And I don't necessarily think I captured it well, but this bit of the world was amazing. I really don't come out very often to this bit. We tend to cycle around this ridge, which is the Moylwinds, the Clwyds, and maybe the Dee Valley down here, which is around Llangollen. I'm going to have to edit this a lot. I don't know why we don't tend to come out past Denbigh to what's called the Mynydd Hiraeth Thog, is all of this highland here, and it was brilliant. It was lovely. So I'm really looking forward to going back again and doing all of that again. I hope you enjoyed seeing a slightly different bit of Wales, guys. Still, hopefully, a bit of Wales that you enjoyed seeing. So yeah, see you in the next video.